Greetings Game Watchers, I'm Chris Capel and welcome to this tribute to Lionhead Studios and their contribution to PC gaming. After a near exact 20 years of game development, Microsoft seems to be closing Lionhead and cancelling the in-development Fable Legends. Granted, 2 decades is an enormously impressive time for a game developer to exist, but it's still a shock when the reasoning isn't obvious and the timing sudden and abrupt. We're here to celebrate a great UK developer. Of course, we can't talk about Lionhead without bringing up Bullfrog. Bullfrog was home to such innovative and absurdly playable titles such as Theme Park, Populous, Syndicate, Theme Hospital, Dungeon Keeper, Magic Carpet and more. Of course, founder, designer and programmer Peter Molyneux had a large hand in most of these titles, and after the release of Dungeon Keeper, Bullfrog was purchased by Electronic Arts, and a large number of the team left to form other studios. Named after co-founder Mark Webley's hamster, RIP, Lionhead's small team immediately began working on their first game, an epic expansion of the god game genre that they themselves invented at Bullfrog with Populous. That game was to be called Black and White. While Lionhead was founded in 1996, the small team would only begin work on the game proper when they moved into their new Guildford offices in 1998. The team, led by Molyneux, started throwing around mad ideas such as being completely mouse-driven and UI-less, and having online weather systems that tracked what your local weather was like and put it in the game. Gradually the game took shape and Black and White finally launched in PC on March-April 2001. Black and White is still in many ways the ultimate god game. Playing as a new god, you have to amass an army of followers and gain enough power to usurp your powerful rival Nemesis. How you do this is up to you. You can appease your followers, give them their heart's desire and let them rely on you for everything, or you can make them live in fear, unleashing your wrath. But you're not alone, you have a pet creature to accompany you. This creature will learn from your actions, so you better teach it right and tell it off if it eats too many villagers. Unless you wanted to do that, of course. Debates still rage to this day on how good a game Black and White actually is. Nevertheless, the scope and ambition in Black and White dwarfs any god game before or since. The way that the land would mimic how good or evil you were becoming was awesome, and the entirely mouse-driven interface mostly worked just fine, which was an achievement for such a huge game. It was the AI on the creature, though, that was the most startling. It would learn by your actions as well as a mixture of praise and punishment, and after a while it would come to feel like a real animal. It was an impressive first game from Lionhead. It was followed by an expansion, Black and White Creature Isle in 2002, which saw your god and your creature visit a new island where your creature could train their own little creature called Tyke, autonomous from your control. It was a cool idea, but the tasks were pretty monotonous and otherwise it was just more of the same. Fable, Lionhead's first entry in their most popular series. Fable was a more whimsical RPG than many games we're used to. Like Black and White, there was a strong focus on good and evil and how choices had consequences. Fable predates CG Projekt's original The Witcher by 3 whole years, so the idea of a proper choice consequence driven RPG was really novel. Lionhead and Satellite Studio Big Blue Box actually pulled it off quite well. PC version, Fable The Lost Chapters, actually came a year later in 2005 and was an extended and impressive port. The simple but deep combat was interesting, the British sense of humour came across well, and the only real cloud was the usual one. Peter Molyneux overhyping it. Such ideas as being able to plant a seed in the ground and being able to watch it grow to a tree was a bit unrealistic. Ditto the proper open world. Nevertheless, many people consider Fable to be the studio's best game, and the series kept them alive and relevant for over a decade. Black and White 2, 2005. Lionhead's sequel to their first epic game, with an improved graphics engine and a new focus on warfare. Sadly, while Black and White 2 is an improvement in some areas, notably in making it more obvious when training your creature and actually having a UI, in most it's a failure. The AI is completely broken, the warfare no fun, the peaceful defending no fun, the teaching of your creature has now basically been thrown out entirely, and most of the freeform world building is impossible with a giant wall keeping idiots out. It's a very repetitive game and not very entertaining, and it threw out most of the things that made the original fun, and one of the most disappointing sequels ever. Shame. The Movies, 2005. Many gamers were excited about the movies as it seemed to be a spiritual return to the more amusing management titles the team did so well back at Bullfrog. As per usual with Lionhead, it was insanely ambitious, with gamers being able to micromanage 3 main areas: designing the studio itself, hiring and promoting cast, and making movies. Players could choose to manage all 3 of these or specialise, leaving the rest to AI. It's the movie making stuff that's of course the most interesting, with the opportunity to do as much or as little as you want. You can write scripts, put in music, effects or voice, and at the time could be uploaded to Lionhead's website or YouTube now. Reviews are pretty damn positive, with our own review being more on the cautious side but still calling it a fine game. Most of the criticism seemed to focus on the sheer amount of micromanagement and how mechanical some of it felt. Around 2004, things weren't looking up. With the exception of Fable, none of Lionhead's projects had done amazingly well, with Black and White 2 in particular getting underwhelming press and sales after an overlong stretch in development. Lionhead had 2 expansions in development, and yet another of their satellite studios, Intrepid, was in the middle of development of an ambitious game called BC. BC had a huge open world sandbox, proper ancient wildlife with a proper food chain to maintain, intelligent fire systems, herds of dinosaurs, a real survival game. And there was no way it was coming out. It was too ambitious for its own good, the satellite studio format was hurting it, and the quicker than expected demise of the original Xbox all led to cancellation. In April 2006, Microsoft announced the buyout of Lionhead Studios, bringing an end to a decade of independent development. The first game for Microsoft would be Fable 2, which would come out in 2008 to a mostly positive reception, but PC gamers would be left in the cold. It would be a further 2 years before Lionhead would be allowed to return to our beloved home computers. Fable 2010-2011. The third and final proper Fable game is set 50 years after Fable 2, as Albion is entering its industrial age. The player has to overthrow their tyrannical brother Logan and become monarch of Albion, and then stop an impending invasion. The reception at the time was generally positive, but not spectacular. Our own review is generally complimentary, praising the enhancements over the 360 version and the sheer fun of exploration. Complaints mostly centred about the bugginess of the dog companion and the still shallow relationships, while other reviews mention how systems have been oversimplified, the lack of a decent map, and the rather dull story. PC Gamer in particular suggested that a lot of the charm of the series had been lost. The Metacritic user score for the PC version is sitting at a rather poor 5.4, and even Peter Molyneux himself said that it was shit before it lived up to expectations. It's now not even available to buy on PC thanks to the death of games for Windows Live and Microsoft's unwillingness to patch it out. It's a sad end to the Fable series and Lionhead's PC gaming heritage. After Fable 3, instead of making a new epic game or even a major sequel to one of their popular titles, their talents were wasted on Kinect games. Milo and Kate was either a cute tech demo or an impossible game, but either way was cancelled and 2012's Fable The Journey was put in its place. A simplistic on-rails adventure utilising Microsoft's first poor Kinect camera, The Journey had some fans but not many. Xbox Live Arcade side-scrolling title Fable Heroes came out the same year, and you'll be hard-pressed to find anyone who remembers it doing so. 2014's remastered re-release Fable Anniversary would prove to be the last game released by Lionhead. Fable Legends was announced in 2013 as a MOBA-style game, more focused on co-op action play than quests or exploration, like raids and MMOs but as a full game. It was announced for PC via the Windows 10 store last year and is still in beta right now, but is nonetheless cancelled despite being seemingly almost content complete. Early reports said the game played a little like Evolve, with 4 heroes facing 1 villain, except that the villain sent forth monsters in basically a strategy game instead of fighting them himself. It sounded fun, if yet again not a proper Fable sequel. But it's Lionhead themselves that'll be missed more. Say what you like about the Fable series, they were unique, sweet and absurdly British RPGs, and I can't imagine any other studio making them. And at least Lionhead were a studio prepared to take risks. I'd rather have an interesting failure than a predictable success any day. While I'll miss pre-Microsoft Lionhead more than anything, it's sad to see any talented studio go under. We can only imagine that Fable Legends possibly wasn't coming together right, but whatever reason, we'll still have the memories. Well, just as soon as Microsoft, EA, Activision etc. get their asses in gear and actually bloody re-release them. Thanks for watching this little tribute, guys. Rest in peace, Lionhead. And I hope to see all the great developers there banding together to form another Bullfrog-like studio soon. Chris Capel and GameWatcher, out.
Oh, I just hate goodbyes.
I just hate good.